A decade ago, California became the first of a dozen states in the nation to legalize medical marijuana. True believers, including many doctors, say pot works to ease pain or counter the side effects of chemotherapy. The National Academy of Sciences agrees if the drug is carefully used. Critics see medical use as the gateway to legalizing all marijuana. Well, how is the California state law working? The answer involves another statute, the law of unintended consequences. For one thing, the federal government still views marijuana, medical or otherwise, as illegal and has been cracking down on dispensaries that sell it. For another, it's clear there are legions of people buying medical marijuana for the sole purpose of getting high. And for both them and the truly ill in California, it's become an easy matter. Just drop by your little pot shop round the corner.
Good afternoon.
Just another working day at a dispensary, as they call them, in San Francisco, where, with a note from a doctor, you can buy marijuana for anything you claim ails you, in just about any form.
Cookies, 2 or 3 different kinds of cookies, pies. We have chocolate milk also.
In many dispensaries up and down the state, there's a tasting corner where you can sample the wares, and where you'll find any number of satisfied customers.
I use medical marijuana for anxiety, neck pain, and back pain. Seems to be the only thing that works that's not an opiate derivative.
I have a torn ligament in my knee.
How do you take it? Do you smoke it? Or?
I smoke it, yeah. I usually pipe a little bit at a time when needed.
There are hundreds of such stores in the state, as many as 400 in Southern California alone. The people who run them are members of the state's latest entrepreneurial class, calling themselves caregivers. The feds call them something else. Case in point, a young man of many faces named Luke Scarmazzo. Luke, you've been variously described as a businessman, a hip-hop artist, and by the government as a drug dealer. Which of the above apply to you?
I'm a hip-hop artist first, because that's what I've always been, and I'm a businessman second, but I'm not a drug dealer.
But you're in the drug business, correct?
Correct.
And like a growing number of people in the business of selling medical marijuana, Luke Scarmazzo found himself and his dispensary on the receiving end of an unannounced early morning raid by the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration.
They handcuffed me and put me on my kitchen table, and one of them walked up to me and held his badge up and said, "You knew I'd be coming soon."
And did you know they'd be coming?
No.
I mean, no hint?
No, not at all.
No sense that they were on your case?
No.
The DEA hits a handful of businesses like Scarmazzo's every few weeks. And in his case, business was good. In the town of Modesto, population 200,000, he sold $4.5 million worth of medical marijuana in 2 years. You were paid a salary?
Yes.
May I ask how much?
Yes, I took home $13,000 a month.
$13,000 a month?
Yeah.
It's pretty good money.
Yeah, I was working a lot of hours.
Scarmazzo's lawyer, Tony Capozzi, says the business was above board, by the book, perfectly legal in California.
We think this is selective prosecution.
Selective, Capozzi says, because of this high-profile video Scarmazzo made. In some scenes, he's a well-tailored businessman, a caregiver. In other shots, he's a different man, flaunting money, pot, babes, attitude in a manner more in tune with drug dealing than caregiving.
So put your finger in the air and yell, the feds.
Do you not think that it's easy to perceive that video as him being a smartass and saying, come and catch me if you can?
In hindsight, yes.
Hindsight, one more image in the hall of mirrors that medical marijuana in California has become. The Supreme Court has upheld the DEA's right to go after dispensaries, no matter what state law might say. And even one of the key proponents of medical marijuana says things have gotten out of hand.
It's just ridiculous, the amount of money that's going through these cannabis clubs. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Scott Imler is a minister in the United Methodist Church who's long been active in promoting medical marijuana. Here he is 11 years ago working to pass Proposition 215, the ballot measure that legalized it. Today, Imler has second thoughts.
The purpose of Proposition 215 was not to create a new industry. It was to protect legitimate patients from criminal prosecution.
Proposition 215 will allow doctors to recommend marijuana to patients who need it.
The aim back then, reflected in the television spots, was for a highly regulated system in which licensed pharmacies would dispense medical marijuana to the seriously ill. Prop 215's backers had people with AIDS, cancer, glaucoma in mind.
What happened when we were writing it was, as you can imagine, every patient group in the state, and they all have their lobbies, you know, the kidney patients and the heart patients, every patient group wanted to be included in the list. And so we didn't want to get in the position of deciding what it could be used for and what it couldn't be used for. We weren't doctors, we weren't scientists, we weren't researchers, we were just patients with a problem.
What you're saying is you were forced to make it vague.
We were, yeah.
So the law voters passed mentioned not only cancer and AIDS, but any other illness for which marijuana provides relief. A decade later, if you've got a note from a doctor, you can buy medical pot for just about any imaginable condition.